Welcome to another episode of Mundaline Minute. We are talking about
Sorry,
Kara's flabbergasted over here because
your setup. I don't know where to look.
we are. Oh, I thought it was because we're talking about
Oh, that too. I mean,
the tax
I'm
levy.
always flustered.
So we just finished recording and realized, we've been doing this for 70 something episodes now, and we still forget to tell you who we are. So my name's Eric Schwank, and I'm a trustee in the Village of Mundaline, and this is Kara.
I'm also a trustee in my life.
And
Oh my
this
gosh.
is still my house and my camera and microphones, and there's no taxpayer dollars in the distribution or creation of this podcast,
We should probably note that it's 5:30 at night.
which is not late, but
When you have multiple small children, it's
yeah,
late.
yeah,
It's
right.
late. So
So thanks for tuning in. Back to the show. So this episode's going to cover two meetings. We had a cow committee of the whole meeting
no.
on Monday, November 13th, as well as a board meeting. So the board meeting was really short. The committee of the whole meeting was 20 minutes over our budgeted time, which
Can we just talk about that? Irritated me that there was only 30 minutes scheduled for that.
oh, the committee call was for an hour, and then we changed it to 30 minutes. Should have been an hour.
It's annoying. It annoyed me.
It's annoying. So committee of the whole was called to talk about the tax levy. We do this every year in November, and then we post it publicly in the newspaper. There's some requirements by state law, all of that. So
I wonder when those will change. That they have to be posted somewhere electronically.
So I wondered that when we were talking about it during the meeting was really the newspaper. Sorry, Russell.
Easy.
What?
Shots fired.
That's not.
But it should be more visible somewhere else.
And that's the struggle of Russell LaSalle as a reporter, even, or any reporter these days, is the circulation, right? There's
Yeah.
just not a large circulation of printed newspapers. But you're right. When is that going to change
Yeah.
that we don't have to post it in a newspaper, maybe just public postings or some kind of online
Yeah,
method or
I don't know what you do instead.
yeah.
That is a
That's above my pay grade.
for the state.
That's right.
Dan Didich, if you're listening.
That's right. Okay, so we called the meeting to order right on time at 6:30, and we talked about the tax levy. Staff brought us a couple of recommendations from them as to how to address the property taxes.
And previously to that, they had published 6 options.
Five.
5 or 6.
So
okay.
they had given us a couple of different options to consider, and then those options changed when the agenda came out, which caused a little bit of confusion because you come in and you're thinking, okay, number 4.
I already know where
whatever.
I'm at.
Yeah,
Option
right.
this, and then
And then option was different. So,
whatever.
right.
Moving on.
What it comes down to is there's two property tax lines on the tax bill for the Village of Mundaline. One we call corporate, which is our general fund of operating of the village, and the second is pensions, which is what it sounds like. It's pensions for police and fire.
And we talked about this last year when we did the same podcast about how and it is even more prevalent in this year's budget meeting, that we are voting on levying dollars to pay for obligations and commitments that were made before we were born.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a long time issue within the state that the state has even taken up over the past, well, we heard from some of the other trustees,
Yeah.
the past 10, 20,
10,
30 years about getting these pensions properly funded, that they just weren't. And I even said during the meeting, and I think I said this last year in the podcast, I hear Ray Semple every year when he talked about the property taxes, and now I hear it every year in my head that these are promises that were made to employees at the time of their employment, and we have to make good on that obligation. It's true. It really is.
And it puts us in the most, I mean, let's face it, we live here.
Right.
We live here. We pay
Right.
it too. And so it makes we have to make hard decisions that affect you and I as well as the residents. And this year, more so, things that were like greatly out of our control. Pensions, always out of our control. Duh, we know that. But this year, we have Social Security and our insurance deductibles
Correct.
have increased.
Wages go up, Social Security benefits, the portion that the village pays, that goes up.
Yep.
Our insurance premiums and our deductibles are way up, and that's just more cost of
But the
doing
insurance
business.
industry is like that as a whole. Take your insurance bill. I mean, mine's
Yeah,
up. So
exactly.
these three factors, it's nauseating, the numbers behind them, how much they've increased. So
Then there's a flip side of that, and it's the money that we have historically brought in that we're not. So one that is large is cannabis tax, and
it's down.
it is down. It's down about $400,000 so far this fiscal year. So we're anticipating that at the end of the year, we're going to be at a deficit because we budgeted for that amount that we've been getting for the last several years. Well, those last several years, we were, in the middle of COVID, where the state was slow, if at all, approving dispensaries or any cannabis licensing. And now that they're issuing those licenses, we're seeing more and more and more
And
pop
they're
up.
everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
So we at one point had the only dispensary. Mundelein had the only dispensary in Lake County and in northern Illinois, and we were the closest to our neighbors in Wisconsin. And I'm not saying that anybody would ever come down over the border and buy cannabis products, but whatever, right? I'm sure it happened. So
that benefit is going away.
That benefit is going away, and now we'll see that number level out as people's buying habits and where they buy things change. But it's just not what was budgeted for this year. And there's some other numbers that are down as well. Just sales tax overall is a little bit lower than what we were expecting.
People are nervous.
There's been a lot of talk about different places in the economy here.
Yeah. So people are holding money tight to them, and we see that here, and that affects obviously our revenue. So it was a tense meeting. I would argue that this was probably one of the more tense meetings we've had since we've been on the board.
Absolutely. So the options that staff brought us either brought in enough dollars to just cover our required amount into pensions and no increase to the corporate fund.
Right.
Or they included more money into the pensions and a little bit of money into the corporate fund, or they put in more money into the pensions and more money into the corporate fund.
Right.
So there was 4 options here. And the board settled on a middle ground, knowing that number 1 would leave us at a bad deficit at the beginning of next year.
Yes.
And not funding our pensions to a appropriate amount. And it is recommended by the individual actuary that we fund our pensions greater than the absolute bare minimum.
Right. Because
we're buying at today's dollars, really.
Yeah. Who knows what the market performance is going to be like.
Correct.
So we decided to increase the corporate fund by 2%.
That sounds right.
Which CPI is 6.5%.
In this area of Illinois, it's 6.5%.
So we're definitely not keeping up with pace, and we are fully aware of that. And we're going to have to make some hard decisions about budget time, and we are fully aware of that. But we, and I speak for myself, know that property taxes are a really sensitive subject right now.
They are.
And, somebody on the board said we can't take into account what other taxing bodies are doing. And I don't know that I agree with that. Like, I know we have our own thing to worry about, but we also have, like, residents that are people at the end of the day, and they have to figure out where they're going to get money from. So, like, I know that we can't control other taxing bodies, but, like, it's still in my head, and it still factors on how I make decisions. So, like, I'm not, like, a robot and can't just, like,
and we don't
think
just
in a silo, like.
Right. And we don't just take the staff recommendation because they made that recommendation.
No, we have to do what's best for the community, and we know, what's best. So anyways, rambling on, shocking. We decided to take a middle ground. We raised the corporate rate 2%, the corporate funds 2%, and then we added more to the pension obligations because, again, those are promises that we made 20, 30, 40 years ago. So for and then there was some debate about this, of course. For an average homeowner, what does this do to their property taxes? It looks like the property taxes will be going up roughly
104.
Thank you. I was going to say $103 and change
over the course of a year.
Over a course of a year, and that's if you have a $300,000 house. So, and this is a rough estimate, but that's equates to roughly. I did the math. Is it $9 a month or something?
It's a little less than that, yeah.
So I was doing the math per month because what does that mean for an average homeowner? Again, it's like not something that we take lightly, and all of this information is online, and I really really encourage people to go look at it, how it's broken down and where the funds are going to and how it's being spent, because when you do get mad about your property taxes, I think it's important to educate yourself on what sums of money are going to where. So.
Correct. And when we've talked about it before on this podcast, that when you look at your tax bill, the Village of Mundelein is 14%, 13 to 14% of your overall tax bill. That like 60+% of it goes to the schools. Then the county has some, and library and the park district and stuff. In Mundelein, there's upwards of like 11 to 12, depending on where you are, maybe even 14 different taxing bodies that have a levy. So it's important to pay attention to this stuff, and there's a lot of it going on.
Read your little blue slip when you get it.
Yeah, the little blue slip from the county. I know it hurts right now. It definitely does.
Yeah,
and that was something that, so I have to say that I talked about during the meeting, was we kept hearing that municipal governments, or just government in general, sees costs a year behind the private sector. That private sector sees them, and then municipal governments see them a year later.
But that means we've been dealing with them longer than the municipal sector.
So I said, okay, well then the homeowner's dealing with them before even the businesses are dealing with it, because the businesses are then raising costs a year later, which is then another year later going on municipal government. So I made the argument when we were discussing this. There was a few of the trustees that wanted to go to a higher amount. And I said, look, there's been people that have been dealing with this for multiple years. And yes, we have to make the decision to fund the government in a certain way. But there's people that have been dealing with inflation. Personally, I haven't had a pay raise in 5 years. And dealing with 20% inflation over that time, it's something that you have to consider.
Yeah. So lots of thought process around it. We did not, it was a split board.
It was a split board. And the mayor decided to take the lesser route.
Pretty reluctantly.
I would say. And for board unity was his reasoning.
Right.
Yeah.
So. But he gave you a challenge. He challenged you to find that in the budget. So
he did challenge us to find the three of us that supported option 2.
Another $100,000.
He challenged us to find that $100, which he equates to $10 per month for the average house.
Right.
And come budget time, we will have to find that
$100,000.
No, we're gonna have to find $1,100,000.
Yes. Got it.
And we'll see how the fiscal year shakes out. It could be better. It could be worse.
It could be. We knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We knew this was coming. So here we are. All right.
Okay.
Moving right along. If you have questions on this, or you don't understand, email us, call me. I don't care. We'll talk about it.
So. Yeah, we're available. We're out there on social media.
Yep.
Our cell phones and our email address are on the village website. We're out there. You can get a hold of us, and we'll
do
talk.
Our best.
We're people.
Yep.
Okay, so the village board meeting number 3,288. Okay. So we started 23 minutes late, and all the trustees were present, and we approved the minutes. There was no public commentary. There was no presentations or awards.
Should we go back to that really quick?
No public hearings. Yes.
There was no public commentary. Oh, it's the most important board meeting of the year. There was no one there.
There was no public commentary for the tax levy meeting or for the village board meeting. In fact, there was only 3 residents in attendance at the tax levy discussion, and 1 in attendance for the board meeting. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. So mayor's report. There's a committee of the whole coming up at our next board meeting. It'll start at 6 p.m., November 27th at 6 p.m. at Village Hall to discuss boat and RV storage and Plaza Circle. Those are our 2 topics.
I'm excited to hear about this Plaza Circle thing. American Bloom, gave us some feedback on it, so hopefully we took it.
Pins and needles.
I don't know.
It's exciting stuff, though, to see that coming along.
Do you remember when we were elected and we heard about these grand plans and we were both like...
Yeah, we were both like, what? No.
And now here they're coming along.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Community and Economic Development didn't have any motions, just a couple of announcements, a date change for an EDC meeting, and 2 new
businesses.
2 new businesses. Is it
iBotana?
Thank you. iBotana.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Tonality Brewing.
Yep.
And then under Public Works, there was a couple. Fine screen controls for $65,000 to Lakeside Equipment Corporation. This is a screen for the wastewater treatment plant to screen out
fine screen.
A fine screen to screen out the fine elements I'm sorry. How old are we? And we can still sit here and make poopy jokes on a podcast
And I
about a
definitely
public
yell at my
works.
son to stop making poop jokes. Mom of the year.
Awesome. Okay, then we did a change order for sidewalk replacement, so there was some unforeseen costs there, as there always seems to be.
I just was heard today. We just got an update that concrete prices are going up.
Yeah,
Heyo.
of course they are, right? So sidewalk replacement change order for $23,087, and then we bought more salt for the upcoming winter.
We'll see. Maybe that's where we cut our budget next year. Less salt.
Yeah, good luck with that. $97,464 in salt.
Doesn't snow as much, man.
You know, it doesn't go bad.
So then we should have some for next year. This is a horse I'm going to die on. Less rock salt. All right, moving on.
So
I can hear my mom. She's going to be so... I'm going to get an email from her. She'll be so mad.
she's probably texting you. This isn't even live, and she
Probably
already
so mad.
knows.
You better plow my street. Oh, God.
The 2023 property tax levy estimate. So we had to make a motion to post this publicly, like we talked about earlier. That there's the
Posting,
state
and then we will finally vote on it in December.
in December, correct?
Which is bananas, because we vote on it in December where we create how much money we're going to get, and then we have to make a budget towards that like later. It's just such a
It's an odd
backward
process. Totally. AT&T separated bills. So this was $8,079.07, and then our governing body bill approval. All the remaining bills was $1,452,802.52.
standard.
Yep. Public safety.
That's me.
Yeah.
We just changed our ambulance billing company. So
Yep.
that's what we did.
That's all we did.
That's all we did. And then the Chiefs, well, it was...
Chief Lark didn't have
Chief Lark
anything.
didn't have anything. Shame on you, Chief Lark. But the police are doing a Toys for Tots drive. You can drop it off at the police department.
And a turkey drive and a coat drive.
Lots of drives.
Yep. They're
And
driving.
Just kidding. The fire department is also doing Toys for Tots as well.
But they didn't seem worried about it because they already had toys in their box.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
pick your favorites.
So building committee didn't have anything. Transportation infrastructure didn't have any. No other reports. No other nothing. Except for the
There
omnibus.
was a really good vote on the omnibus vote, and that was
221 Stafford.
yes. This has been going on forever.
Yeah. So this is the village bought it.
Bought it.
And we've talked about that on the podcast, and now they're rehabbing it.
Yes.
Well, the village
affordable housing is
affordable housing
rehabbing
is.
it. And I will tell you, I walk by this house on my nightly jaunt through my hood, and it looks so much better already. They've just cleaned up the bushes in front, and
You're like, thank you.
they had it airing out one day, and I was like, oof, I don't even want to know what's happening in there.
Right.
So
So yeah, that was part of it. So this was a we have a revolving loan program
With
for affordable
affordable
housing.
housing.
So if they're fixing up a property within Mundelein, they can borrow up to $100,000 from the village.
which we basically have funded from other things that we've sold to them.
Correct.
So,
And then they just sit there and
oh, your phone's ringing.
my phone's buzzing over there. So that money's available to them to rehab a property, and then they pay it back upon the sale of the property.
Yep.
And then there was the IRMA Governmental Risk Agency. So this is our insurance purchase order for $34,348.10. And then Zoll Medical lease payment. This was for year 2 of that agreement for the heart monitors.
Heart monitors. Remember last year, someone was like, why are you guys... What was it? Someone asked about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're for the ambulances.
Got to have them for the ambulance and the fire trucks.
Yeah, keep you guys alive.
Yep. $28,918.40. Yeah. So this is year 2 of a 10-year lease.
So, all right.
And that was it.
No executive session?
Seriously, we started the board meeting at 7:23, and we were done with the village board meeting at 7:36.
Yeah.
So 13 minutes. We spent 45 minutes talking about the tax levy.
But I feel like that's not fair, because we spent ad nauseum time with staff going over it before. So,
True.
True. It's not like we got up there and saw it for the first time. We're like, hey, there's 45 minutes. Check. No, it's not.
No, and that 45 minutes was after seeing it.
Yeah.
That's still a healthy conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
We don't take it lightly.
we don't.
So definitely stresses
don't.
me out. Yeah. What's coming up? Nothing this weekend.
No, I mean, we got the holidays will be upon
look
us
at it.
soon, right?
I gotta look at my calendar. I don't know what day of the
You
week
don't
it
even
is.
know what it is?
Today's
Yeah.
Wednesday, right?
We got Thanksgiving coming up.
I was just trying to see if we're gonna have another board meeting.
Yes.
Yep. Until I can promote
27th.
the tree lighting
The tree lighting
is the first.
is the 1st of December. And let's
then
be honest,
Winterfest.
the podcast for the next board meeting probably won't even be out by December 1st.
Yes, it will. December 1st is a Saturday. We record usually on Wednesdays.
No, it's a Friday.
Oh, shut up. It's a Friday. All right, we're done.
So December 1st, make plans.
It's such a fun night.
It is a fun night. It is.
And then December 2nd is actually Winterfest, which is the second annual Winterfest. And then I believe that goes from 12 to 12 to 3. Don't quote me on that. I just have it in my calendar. But that's also really fun. That came from a suggestion from the member of the community. And we went with it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we'll see you guys then in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for
Have a
tuning
good
in.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.